I spent 13 years playing professional baseball in the Royals and Giants organization, and over the last several years, I have worked with high school hitters who are trying to create more opportunities to play college baseball. And one of the biggest problems I see, especially when players start facing better arm, is that they feel like they're always late. This is something I wish more hitters understood earlier, because most players think being late means they need faster hands. But a lot of the time, the real issue is that their body is getting started too late. So in this video, I'm gonna break down why you're late against fast pitching and the three things you need to fix: when you start your load, when your front foot gets down, and how early you make your swing decision. You're starting your load too late. What do I mean with that? By the time that you engage when you back hip, even when you're doing a leg kick, a toe tap, or just peeling the front heel of the ground, is when the ball's already in the air coming across the plate. And that's usually when we start rushing our mechanics and trying to make everything happen in a short amount of time. And that's usually when our body just pretty much fall apart to be able to create the right patterns, to not just to create direction and speed, but to be able to create tension across our body and maximize the velocity of our hands to create more bat speed and being able to decide when we want to swing the bat or not by gaining time, because it's not rocket science. If you have quick hands, yes, it's going to help you ultimately to wait a bit longer to decide if you want to swing at a pitch or not. But the number one thing, or the number one problem that I see, is that when you're starting your load, it's the ball is already in the air. What I want you to do instead, I want you to mainly focus on the pitcher's glove, and as soon as the pitcher starts taking the ball out of the glove, that's when you start working with your negative move. When you gather, that's basically you're telling your body that as soon as the pitcher breaks and start taking the ball out of the glove, that's when you start getting into the pick of your leg kick, in case that you're doing a leg kick, or you start engaging with the back hip as you're doing your toe tap when you step back, or simply just peeling the front heel off the ground. So something that helped me is I used to have a target that I wanted to aim to hit the ball right back to it. The main reason why I didn't like to have a target like base far away from where I was at the plate is because usually when you start thinking that you want to hit the ball far, that's usually when you start involving or using your big muscles and start just being laid across the zone instead of trying to hit the ball hard into a shorter target. So for me, the best way to create and be more consistent with my load, it was number one, to always be expecting a fastball and react to anything else. That's a non-negotiable. All the way around, it's going to be impossible for me to adjust to something faster if I'm trying to just, or if I'm expecting a breaking ball, for example, and I get a fastball, it's going to be impossible for me to adjust to it. I'm always looking to respecting a fastball. The only thing I'm going to change is how deep I'm going to let that fastball get into the strike zone, depend on the count. If I'm behind of the count, obviously I have to or not obviously, but most of you guys should be thinking about letting the ball travel, letting that fastball travel a bit longer. If I'm up in the count, I want to catch that ball up front because I have the luxury to it. But going back to your load, as soon as the pitcher starts taking the ball out of his glove, that's when you start engaging with that back hip if you're doing a leg kick, and be fully focused on the glove of the pitcher. That's going to help you to be more consistent with different type of pitchers, guys who has a different arm mechanics, a different arm angle. They all break from the same spot, from the middle. So when you get into the plate, that's the main thing that I want you to focus on. Just pretty much forget about anything else. That's what's going to help you with your timing. There's a few drills that I like to do that I'm going to make sure that I put it down in the description of this video that you can apply to be able to keep developing your timing based on we want to have some timing constraint by just doing some walking drills, some rapid toss, some early how to engage and get into the back as early as possible and over exaggerate it. Just try to check the description down below in case you want to take a look at it. But going back to the way how you load, that's the most important thing to make sure that you start working and building your timing based off. The second reason I hear pretty often on high schoolers is because they hear their coaches or their teammates saying that they're landing down with the front foot too late. So I hear that in the past too, and something that my coaches used to tell me in kind of like a joke, because you never want to see a guy swinging or hitter swinging when their front foot hasn't get into the ground yet. I'm assuming that's something that at the next level you often see, even when you see some guys, you know, at the lower level, guys in middle school or just guys who are just learning how to swing. As soon as they start moving forward, it's kind of the bat is coming forward or going bringing their hands forward with them, but that's something that is usually at the lower level that you see guys having a problem with how to create that forward move. But the way how my coaches explained to me that when that front foot is supposed to be landing into the ground, it's like as soon as you get into the backside, especially by using the inside part of your back foot, by making sure that your back knee is working in front of your back foot, you're not letting working with that sway where you see your back knee working and pushing yourself out in the outside part of your back foot. As soon as you get into your back hip like this and you're using your backside to help you lead that movement forward, and you get into an athletic position, which should be looking something like this. What I often see from high schoolers is that they like to create and lead that forward move when they're front side, usually pushing everything and leading that forward move into their landing, and they start dragging and the bat and the hands behind of the body, and either landing too early with the front foot or too late. So my recommendation is first of all, when we're talking about the way how we land with that front foot, the first thing that you have to keep in mind is that you're going to land when your toes first. You're supposed to be toes, heel, and that's when you're ready to swing. If you're using your backside, you're leading your forward move when your backside, that step when you're attacking the ball and landing with that front foot on time is going to be way easier because you're going to be in fully control of when to land with the front foot. You don't want to be hoping by just going up and down and just letting gravity decide if you're going to land there on time or not. You'll see, you'll react, you'll read the pitch with getting that backside involved and deciding when are you going to land with that front foot or not. But the rule of thumb, and something that you have to make sure, like I said before, is you have to land when your toes and your heel right after. That's what going to help you to be able to rotate into the ground and land into an athletic and powerful position where you can read and then adjust. So when you're landing late, when you're landing super early, that's just the consequence, or that's just the byproduct of what you did before. My coaches often used to tell me, try to think that when you're doing something unathletic or something that is not right in your mechanic, it's like your body is lying to you. And as soon as your body starts lying one time, usually before we even swing the bat, your body's gonna keep lying like multiple times just to make up or just to be able to reorganize itself in a way that's not gonna be easy for you to be able to compete at the next level. So like, it's like you want to start overcompensating with some other moves in your mechanics to be able to adjust to the pitch that you have, to the task that you have in hand, either when you're hitting a fastball or a breaking ball, to overcompensate. Let's say when you're collapsing with your backside, so you're trying to swing uphill, or when you're letting your front side leading that forward move, and then by dragging and your hands and your bat behind your body, you'll have to commit to a pitch. Your body knows that you don't have enough time. You're slow to get into the strike zone, so your pitch selection is gonna suffer. So basically, try to think about like the landing with your front foot is just gonna be the consequence of the price that you have to pay in case you're not loading properly and working with a strong backside to be able to control and be consistent with landing with your front foot on time. And the way how you land with that front foot, like I said before, toes to heel. You're making your swing decisions too late. That's going more into the approach or the way how you build a plan based on the picture that you have in front of you. Basically, something that is non-negotiable is to make sure that you're always expecting a fastball. We're always hunting the fastball, and then we adjust to anything else. If you do the other way around, when you're expecting something slow, it's going to be impossible to adjust to a fastball just because you don't want to have enough time, especially going back to when you're supposed to land with that front foot. If you're landing too late or too early, it's gonna be super inconsistent when you're building the wrong plan. So when you're supposed to take the decision to swing or not, everything have to start from the way how your frame or wire your mindset, your brain. The next pitch that you're gonna have, that's going to be your pitch. You'll hear a lot of coaches, hopefully another teammates too, telling you to have the type of mentality of like the yes, 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 no. That's a good way how to start, but going to the next level after that, something that you have to make sure that is always ready to swing have to be your lower half. That's the main reason why your swing sequence is going to be extremely important to be able to land into a reading position, an athletic and powerful position to swing the bat and do some damage. So when you're thinking about you're going to attack the ball with your lower half, that as soon as you land into the ground with your front foot, your lower half is always going to get going, and then you'll see your upper half following right after that. Usually when you buy yourself more time, and then in case that you're trying to shoot it down, for some reason you see something that you didn't like or you think it's going to be a bad pitch to swing at, it's a lot easier for you to decide to swing at that pitch or not. What I often see from high schoolers getting in trouble with swing decisions, first of all, like their mindset sucks. Like they have no idea what they're doing. They're just walking into the box and you're expecting that something magically is going to happen. You'll hear some players, having that type of mindset and it works for them. But if it's not working for you, you're definitely the type of player who needs a plan and a system to make sure that his brain is ready to swing. That's the number one factor that I often talk to the players inside of my program, the families that I work with, is that you need to make sure that before you touch or you adjust anything physically, you have to wire your brain with a type of way how to think and talk to yourself on the third person. That's going to help you to make those physical adjustments a lot quicker. We often try to fix something mechanically without fixing anything in your brain to be able to make those adjustments a lot quicker and be able to compete in a game and against a live arm that is trying to strike you out, not in a cage where everything is under control and you're just practicing a good looking swing that is only going to translate when the coach is telling you, here, little Johnny, I'm coming with a fastball, or I'm coming with a breaking ball. Even from hitting off the pitching machine, you know what's coming from the pitching machine, and you can be just raking and getting great contact on the batting cage of the pitching machine. But if you don't have a plan, if you don't have what I often talk to the players who I work with, if you don't have a way how to develop the hitter mentality, you only want to have a good swing. Having a good swing is just one part of the puzzle. It's just one tool. You need to bring like the whole picture of what a good hitter looks like. Yes, metrics work. Yes, having good mechanics work. But your mindset is weak. If you're not consistent with building the right plan, having a right approach depending on different hitting situations, you're just gonna have a swing that's gonna translate as gonna look good in the cage, because you're not used to this type of competition where you have to make adjustment like pitch by pitch instead of just like, oh my gosh, everything is off here, it's not working, I think I just suck. That's typically not what happened. Going back to your swing decision, just make sure, like I said before, your approach, the way how you build a plan, and working with the right sequence by attacking and initiating your swing when you lower half. Your lower half is always committed to do some damage. It's always going. You'll see some guys back in the day like Adrian Beltre, a Hall of Famer, that he's literally just taking his back knee into the ground and taking a pitch. You don't have to be that extreme. I used to have some pictures by doing that too as well. It's not something that I wanted to do, but when I practice it and when I'm locked in with working with the right sequence on my swing, that's something that just come as a result of like I'm working with the right patterns of my swing. And always be expecting the fastball. That's when I help you to adjust in a game instead of just like working when you're timing, when a coach is throwing batting practice to you, or you just sitting on the machine. Because in the game, you know that there's so many things that we can control. Bad calls, guys throwing different pitch types, locations, and we have to make sure that we're capable to do be consistent with a good swing decision by working with the thing that we can control, by building the right plan, having the right mindset, and reading what the pitcher especially is given to you. That's something that we can make a whole video about, like what I truly mean with that. But like basically, just to keep it as short as possible, if the pitcher is just working with you when giving you a fastball low and away, I'm not trying to pull that ball into the left field side and hit that ball 500 feet. I'm just gonna take my single, my line drive to the other way. That's why approach and building the right plan is going to be able to help you to perform against live pitching and not just in practice or in the cage. And if you're someone who's not just late, but you're also not using your back leg to create power, I'll have another video breaking down why that happened, because a lot of times those two problems are connected. I had players in my program who thought they needed quicker hands, but once we clean up when they start their load and when their front foot get down, they immediately feel like the game slowed down. They were not rushing to catch up anymore. They were actually on time and being able to drive the ball. Being on time is not about rushing your swing, it's about preparing earlier. If you want to work one-on-one with me, the link is down below where we can talk about your number one struggle, your number one goal, and build a game plan to help you become the hitter that you want to be. If you're not ready for that yet, that's completely fine. Keep watching and got more free videos to help you become a better hitter and create more opportunities to play at the next level. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.